Hey, welcome back guys to Intermediate JavaScript and jQuery programming with JSON and Ajax. My name is Kaustubh Garge, but can call me KG. We will be working on the final project for this Intermediate JavaScript course today. Before we begin, let's look at the session outline. So in this session, we'll be quickly doing a recap of the previous project. We'll be working on the Ajax call again in this project, but we're also going to learn how to process the data that we receive from the API server and display it on our web page. For this project, we'll be building a dashboard that shows all the active cases for the COVID-19. Again, as a reminder, if you do not have taken Fundamentals of JavaScript Programming course before, then you have to take the Introduction to JavaScript as well as Introduction to HTML to understand the document object model before taking this course. So in the previous project, we covered two things. We covered how to manipulate the DOM using jQuery and how to use Ajax to make calls to the API server. In this project, we'll work on getting the data from the API server using Ajax call, and then we'll work on this data to make it presentable and displayed in our web page by manipulating the document object model. So we'll be building a COVID tracker using the COVID-19 API.com. The year 2020 will go down in the history books for this global pandemic and the importance of digital infrastructure in this global shutdown. We will be learning how we can build better applications and systems to help other people. The API is built from data made available to us by Johns Hopkins University. The data is vast. However, for the purpose of this project, we're going to be focusing only on the number of cases per country. However, I strongly encourage you to explore the data and build on top of the application to learn more and sharpen your jQuery skills. Like always, make sure you have Google Chrome browser and code editor like Visual Studio Code installed on your computer. The project source code files are provided on my GitHub page. You can download them and review the code if you get stuck at any point during this session. So now we have everything in order. Let's begin. So the first thing we need is the data from the API server. We will call the API resource URI at covid19api.com. So let's quickly jump into that. So this is the resource URL that you have to go to, covid19api.com. And the data that is being provided to us is from Johns Hopkins University. And all you have to do is use this URL to get the data. Okay, so let's quickly jump into the code. So I have a basic template of HTML right here. I've included jQuery and Bootstrap. And what I want to do here is I want to show the cases, the COVID-19 cases on a per country basis. So what I have here is I have a header with the name COVID-19 tracker. I have created a paragraph that says the current active COVID-19 cases by countries, and there's a load button by which we will actually, when you click on the button, we'll actually call the API server and get the data and load it onto the web page. Okay. We also have a table with one column for country and one column for cases, and the table body is something we will manipulate and add the data to it. I've also included my main.js file right at the bottom. So let's quickly jump into the main.js where we will actually start writing the code. All right, so the first thing is, like I said, we have a button. So we'll have to catch the button click event, right? So we have the button. So what we need to do is capture the event. First, we have to make sure the document has been loaded. So we'll say document.ready. Pass in a function in here. So when the document is ready, we're going to be listening for the button click. So I'll be using the button class that I already have. So for this particular thing, for this particular button, I have a class of btn that's directly from the Bootstrap library. So I'll be just calling that. And I will listen to the click event. So I'll say click, and inside we'll pass in a function. Right, now we have to use the Ajax call here, Ajax method here. So can you figure out what kind of request this will be? Will it be a get or post or put or delete? I guess to write it will be the get request. So we'll say Ajax, and in here we'll pass the parameters. So the type is of get. The content type we need is application JSON, so I'll say content type of application slash JSON, and the URL. So the URL is provided to you in the slides, the PowerPoint slides, but I'll just type it in here, api.covid19api.com, and I need all the records, so I'm going to just use summary. So all of the details are actually provided on their website. If you were to go to their website and read the documentation, so this is the documentation that you can explore. So we have all of the information within the summary. So we get a summary of new and total cases per country updated daily. This is the response that we get. Right. So if I explore this, so this is one of the kind of response that we get from here. It's an example response, and they have different number of endpoints that you can use, and if you can see here, they have the request type as well. So we have to use the get request type for almost all of the endpoints right here. All right, moving back. Okay, what else do we need now? I think we're done. So we just have to listen for the success event now. So we'll say success. I'll pass in the function get the data, and in here now what I have to do is I already have a table, right? So I already created a table. The first row is the table header where I have country and cases listed. All I have to do is make sure I add a new table row inside the table body. Okay, so let's compose a table row first. Actually, first log in the data. Let's see what kind of data are we dealing with. Okay, so let me save this and run this. So I'll say open with live server. Alright, so you have the header here, you have a paragraph, and you have the load list button here, and I'm using the table. So right now we are not manipulating the DOM, we are just looking at the console. So let me click load list, and I get the data right here. So let me see what kind of data are we dealing with. So we get an object that says it's global countries, and there's a date. So if we open up the countries, we have about 185 countries. Whoa, that's a lot. Okay, so we have the global statistics here as well. So newly confirmed cases, total number of cases, new deaths, total deaths, total recovered. Yeah, so we're only concerned about the countries for now. So we have about 100. We have more than 100 countries, 186 actually. So we have to display this. Okay, so let us go back to the code. All right, so the first thing we need to do is we need to save this in a an array, because if you looked at here, the countries that we are getting is an array of 186 records. So first of all, we have to save this in a local variable. So what I will do is I will say variable countries equals, I'll create a blank array first, and then I will countries equals data dot countries. Is it the capital C? Yeah, it is a capital C. Okay. All right, excellent. Let's save it, and now for each record, we have to pick the country name and pick the total confirmed cases. So, oops, let's actually keep the console log. We have to make sure we refer to it. So data dot countries. All right, let me load this. Now if I expand this, expand the first 100, I get the country name, I get the country code. There's a slug that's a uniquely identifiable property. So if I expand this, I get country, country code, date, newly confirmed, new date, new deaths, new recovered, total confirmed, and total deaths. So what we need right now is we just need the total confirmed number, right? And we need the country name. Okay, so for each and every one of the objects, we have to pull this information and display it on the web page. So let's go back. Oops. All right, so I'm going to comment this out to make some space here. Close this up. All right, great. So we're getting an array of objects, right? So what we can do is we can use the object.values. It's a traditional JavaScript function, right? So we can use object.values. I'm not using jQuery here. This is traditional JavaScript. Inside we'll pass in the countries, and for each country, I'm going to use the fat arrow function. Remember the fat arrow function. Keep the code simple. In this, let's quickly log out the country records. So I'm just gonna save this and go back and see if this works. I'm going to click the load list button, and I get each and every country, right? So this is a loop running. Okay, so that's great. Okay, so now we have to compose a table row. Okay, so I'm going to create a property here for table row. So, and this is going to be an HTML property. So I'll say variable table row. Oops. Yeah, let me quickly put this in line. All right. So the table row that we are going to be creating is HTML. I'll create a blank first and then append to this. So I'll quickly comment this out. And for table row HTML, I will append, right? So I will say table row, the table data, and I want to highlight it, so I'm going to use the strong tag right here. I'll say country dot country, because if we go back, if you go back and if you see, this is the country object and you have country, and then we need country as well as we need the total confirmed, right? So I'll say country dot country, append, close the strong tag, and quickly wrap. Okay, all right, close the table data and open up a new table data for the total number of cases, right? So I will use a span and a bootstrap class. So I'll say class label success, and I will say country dot total confirmed. I'll say the T and C are capital. Yep, okay, great. So the total confirmed, and I'm going to close the span and close the table data as well, and also the row. All right, great. So we have composed the table row. Great. Now we have to do is we have to append this uh, to the table data, right? So if we select the index.html, we have to append this to the table body. I'm sorry, we have to append the table data to the table body. So the table body, we have given an ID of country list. So what we can do is, outside of this, we can say jQuery, call this by ID, it's a country list, and add the HTML. So the HTML will be this table row HTML. Perfect. Let's see how this looks. I'm going to close this. Perfect. Perfect. So we have all the countries on the left hand side and the number of cases on the right. So we have all of 186, I think. Yep, we have from A to Z. Perfect. Perfect. Let's go back to the slides. So we got the data and we manipulated it. We used the Ajax get request to get the data, and we looped through the JavaScript objects to retrieve the data that we needed the most and displayed it on the web page. So that's perfect. So again, a quick recap of what we learned from this project. We learned how we can use Ajax call to get the information from the API server. We also learned how to get the information, process it, and present it on the web page. I'm going to recommend you to look at the other data that we're getting from the API and process it and show it to the user as well. It'll help you understand jQuery better and allow you to build a much more sophisticated dashboard. So this concludes our course for intermediate JavaScript, Ajax and jQuery. Thank you very much.